This is...
Nice.
You go, girl.
You don't have to edit that out if you want.
This is episode 26 of We Could Be Wrong, the pup named Scooby-Doo of podcasts. I'm Eli. Joining me today is Bret.
Burp.
Joining me today is Christina.
I remember that show.
And joining me today is Burps.
It was a good show.
Wait, what show?
A pup named
Pup
Scooby-Doo.
named Scooby-Doo.
Oh, yeah, no, that sucked.
Oh, come on.
That, to be honest, I don't like Scooby-Doo, but that's like the only variation of Scooby-Doo.
Yeah,
No,
to
can
honest,
I be?
yeah.
To be honest, the one that the variation that I was obsessed with as a kid was when they had guest stars on, because I wanted that fucking Adam West Batman episode to keep coming on.
Oh, wow.
Because you're a Batman nerd.
Yeah, but it was fucking Adam West and Burt Ward.
Oh, wow. I like the pup named Scooby-Doo because it was like...
Oh, a pup named Scooby-Doo. No, I was thinking of Scrappy-Doo for some reason.
What?
No.
And I was like, Scrappy-Doo sucked.
Nobody likes Scrappy-Doo. Nobody. Literally
Not even the live action Scooby-Doo movie like Scrappy-Doo.
I think that was probably the only good joke in that entire movie.
Nobody likes Scrappy-Doo.
Well, that and, like, all of, like, the fucking outfits that they forced Velma into. Those were great.
Mm-hmm.
Never
Nice.
changed.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember the Scooby-Doo movie. I just thought it was weird that Freddy and Shaggy ended up stabbing each other at the end. Like, what was that about?
I saw this one Scooby-Doo movie on this website, and I thought it was weird that they just all started taking off each other's clothes and doing so.
Nice.
Starting off strong.
Who plays Scooby?
It was a bestiality thing, so it was a real dog.
That's called authenticity.
So, Eli, you were talking to me about something earlier, and then I told you to shut up because I didn't want to ruin the podcast by talking about it too much.
Oh, okay, then.
So say your fucking piece again.
Oh, okay, well, so I saw this video recently from pretty popular animator Hot Diggity Demon. He has this new series.
Can you tell us how you told us earlier where you were like, Matt something or other guys made a new video today, and I was like, okay. You're like, Matt. And I'm like, okay. You know, Matt. And it's just, you wouldn't get off the fact that I didn't know what his name meant.
Well, here's the thing. We've known each other for like what, a decade now?
Yeah, but this is
you don't realize that I'm not good with talking. You let me into this podcast.
That's like if I was
This is on you, Bret.
Yeah.
Hey, Eli,
Yeah.
check out this. Did you hear what Greg Ferris did today?
Oh my!
Greg.
I would actually nod my head and go, yes, Greg Ferris. I would see that because I'm your friend.
Why would you nod your head? We would be talking on Skype. I wouldn't be able to see that.
For my benefit.
Okay.
It'd be all for my benefit. So anyway, this guy, he did a video about Zootopia and how he goes like, oh, the movie is preachy because the whole message is that racism is bad, but, the people who are not racist are going to be like, yeah, I already know this, and the people who are racist are not going to listen at all. And when he says this, it's like, I don't want to blame this all on him, because this is like
That's the criticism.
I heard this multiple times.
Yeah, that's the criticism that everyone... Either that or like, oh, it's for furries. And it's like, there is some complaints to make with that. Or there is some... Because like the last dancing scene is kind of like, okay, this is weird.
No, just the tigers being
tigers,
included in the movie in general.
It's interesting. It's like they call that furry, but like I'm thinking anthropomorphic animals have been around cartoons for like the longest. It's pretty much almost the default. So why is this one exclusively the one that gets called a furry thing?
Because furries are relevant.
This is the big one when the internet's around. The internet wasn't around with Thundercats, so they got to make up for lost time.
This isn't the first time I saw this criticism
it's
against
a common
the movie.
complaint.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, it's just telling us racism is bad. And I feel like that's a very base way of seeing it. And
the way I was describing it with you, I was like, I think the biggest thing about Zootopia is that something I didn't think I even appreciated back when I saw it the first time was that, like, it tells you a story of racism and racial discrimination, but not from the perspective that we're used to, which is from the person being discriminated against. We're shown it from the perspective of the person discriminating. And I mean, the movie even tries, like, originally to go out of the way and show us why it's okay to justify racism, so that later on it makes sense when you see, oh, maybe this isn't right.
Yeah, it's because you're thinking throughout the entire movie, oh, Judy Hopps, she's trying to fight against this bigotry, but as soon as she solves the case, so to speak, the first time around and get high up there, she ends up saying, like, hey, predators are prone to acting savage. And she doesn't really hesitate to say that because, hey, that's just something that she thought. And
I mean, the fox beat her up when she was a kid, so all foxes are probably like that. She has to have the fox spray with her.
It's just, this is something that a lot of people, it's a really good thing to remind a lot of adults too. It's like, even if make the conscious decision to go against, like, prejudices, it doesn't mean you're free from encouraging those prejudices.
Oh yeah, no, like,
and I think that's something a lot of people tend to not realize, is that, like, self-reflection. I think it's the whole theme of this entire podcast. Is just like self-reflection is really needed in order to, because if you don't really check what you're doing, you're not going to really understand what you're doing.
And that's why I have an issue when people say, "Oh, it's just about racism," because if it was a traditional movie about racism, we would have seen it from Nick's point of view, like we normally do in movies, where we would have seen Nick and people are like making fun of him and beating him up, and he's having a tough time, and everyone's racist towards him, but he perseveres, and then everyone loves him at the end of the climax. But, like, instead we see it the opposite way, which is we get Judy's perspective, which is showing us, like, why these stereotypes. It's not a movie that, which is funny because a lot of people make this criticism against it. It's not a movie that says racism is bad. It's a movie that says racism happens for reasons. And the issue is people aren't willing to, like, look over those reasons and see kind of the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've noticed in the video itself, he separates it, like, like I said before, non-racists are going to be fed this moral that they already know, while racists are just going to ignore it. And the thing is, like, you can't really separate people from racists and non-racists, because that's not normally how the world works. It's not so black and
kind of
white.
Like a spectrum.
Yeah, it's a spectrum. Yeah. And
yeah, I mean,
that's another problem. It's like when you separate it to, like, black and white, that makes it easier to argue instead of actually talking about the nuance. And
I mean, I think all the time we realize, like, we might have been saying something super derogatory, and then, like, we're like, holy shit, I've been using, like the word retard, like, that was, and it still is a word some people have an issue with, where it's like they can't move it out of their vocabulary. And it's just like, that was a word that I was like, a few years ago, I was like, oh shit, that's a shitty thing to say to people. I should probably maybe move away from that.
Yeah, a lot of people, they actually retaliate and they'll end up justifying using that word. They don't bother changing their vernacular. Like, one excuse I always hear from multiple people again is when they talk about, like, slurs that they use in conversation, they say, like, look, the only reason why these are slurs is because society determined them to be slurs. Society put those negative meanings to that one word. And the thing about that is, that's how all languages work. That's how language works at all. We associate certain gestures and words and symbols with specific meanings. And these people like to talk about, oh, you want to be PC if you're telling us this word's a slur or whatever. It's like, your problem is not with political correctness. Your problem is with linguistics.
I actually really enjoy movies that kind of have a bit of a better moral than just, like, black and white, because I think probably one of my favorite movies, animated movies, in the past, like, 10 years or so, and honestly, I don't understand why this movie wasn't bigger, is Paranorman. Because the whole concept, spoiler warning, there's these zombies that have been, like, chasing these kids around, and these are the zombies of these people that burned this little girl at the stake for being a witch. And they think that these zombies have come back to kill people and blah, blah, blah. And it turns out, actually, these people, the little girl who was maybe, I forget if it was that she was a witch or she became a witch when she died, she's basically tormenting their souls by making them live forever, and they just kind of want to die. And so the concept is, like, it really was unfortunate what happened to this little girl, but she kind of became a monster because of it, and she's like tormenting people from beyond the grave and causing havoc and all these kind of things.
I've seen that a lot with a lot of adults. They always think like, hey, this person is trying to take advantage of me, this person's being disgusting, therefore I have an easy pass to be just as disgusting to them.
Oh yeah, and that's why I really enjoy that movie, because the moral of Paranorman is don't do that. Be above that. And I don't know, that's why I like, because, like, again, one of my favorite movies of all time is Iron Giant, and Iron Giant has a really cool moral, which is, you know, back in the 90s, we had a bunch of morals that were like, just be yourself, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like Iron Giant is one of the few movies that actually makes that point, and saliently makes that point, because the whole point of the giant is that he was a machine designed just to destroy things. But Hogarth teaches him that he's allowed to decide if he wants to be that or if he wants to be a hero.
You are who you choose to be.
You are who you choose to be. And so the ending, the big dramatic ending, is that the giant decides that he wants to save the world, or at least the town.
One of the two.
You know, the town's not as big as the world. It's not really that big of a deal.
I mean, it's in but nowhere.
The thing is, there was a lot of that kind of shit when we were kids. There was a lot of just be yourselves, kids. Don't say no to drugs.
But what if myself is a drug user?
And, like, I feel like The Iron Giant was the first movie that really made that point and made it in a way where you're like, yeah, you're right. I should... Just because someone thinks you're one way doesn't mean you have to be that. It's kind of what I like about kids' movies. When, like, that's kind of one thing I like about Steven Universe, is that it's a kids' show that has actual lessons in it. Not just the
like
typical
basic stuff. Don't steal candy from my baby.
That could be toxic. No, I think that's kind of what I kind of got not upset, because I don't care as much, but I thought was kind of lame about some of the responses I was seeing about Zootopia, where people are like, "Oh, it's so in your face with its moral," and it's like, not really. Like, I said it 3 times already.
It's pretty subtle.
It's not really subtle. It kind of hits you in the face in the last act, but it's supposed to, because it's trying to be like, oh, get it? You've been seeing racism from the side of the person being racist, and you agreed with her. More than likely, you agreed with her because you saw the kid beating her up. You saw that these predators are bigger and stronger than she is, and then you kind of realize, oh, maybe this isn't the correct way of thinking.
Yeah, also, keep in mind, you want to keep parallels to the way she thought to the way that the sheep thought. You know, because, remember, I forget the name of the sheep, but she said a line there like, you know, us little guys have to stick together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I hear that sometimes, and that's a little... thing that you hear a lot of people say. You think, like, little stick together, I barely know you, just because we share something in common.
Oh yeah, no, like I don't really want to talk about it, because we always say, like, we don't like talking about this stupid controversy kind of stuff, but, like, there was stuff going on in the magic community with some people not being allowed to get promotional material for directly from wizards, and, like, people are, like, there's, like, a fucking influx of videos, like, the magic community is tearing itself apart. And I was just joking with Christina, like,
divided.
I was at a tournament
with
that
big
I won
capital letters in white bowls.
And then like a person sitting there looking really grumpy with like a really like,
or he has like
face.
like a hand over his face, like, oh.
It's like I was at a magic tournament that I won, and and like I was joking with Christina that I should have just like stood up during the tournament and just been like, we're tearing each other apart. But it's like, I hate when people make these like little squabbles, especially these things that happen on the fucking internet, sound like it's like a bigger fucking deal than it actually is.
Oh, that explains that one moment. I was at the Kmart the other day, and I got myself a pack of Magic cards. I just wanted to give it a shot. And I went to the cashier, and she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I just wanted to try out this Magic game that my friends were talking about. It's like, don't you know? Magic is over. forever.
Community is tearing itself apart.
It's like, what? It's like, don't you see outside? I look outside and everywhere, all the cars are being crashed. There's giant mobs all over the place. Shit is on fire.
Mark Rosewater is like being lit on fire.
I don't know who that is, but okay.
He's the creative director of Magic the Gathering.
Okay, now I can laugh.
I know what that name means now. But
Context.
yeah, I'm with you on that. I hate when people go like, or like when people invoke the mythical usage of the word gamer, and it's like, that's not like.
This isn't what gamers
I am a gamer, so am I.
I speak for the gamers, and it's like, no, you don't. You're just some guy named Angry Joe. I mean, you could honestly make the argument with Jim Sterling, but I feel like at least Jim has a little bit of more common sense than to keep saying that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, he kind of just speaks for the consumer in general.
Yeah, I mean, I think the issue I always have for it is when someone tries to invoke the community, like, we need to unify, we need to do this, and it sounds like so,
we need
like...
to battle against
It's such kind of, like, groupthink, because it's kind of like, we need to stop being individuals, and we need to start being soulless pawns that work together and sign petitions. And it's like, maybe not. Like, when people just invoke, like, oh, the Magic community, oh, gamers, and it's like... You know, I wrote this thing a while ago when this guy was joking about that, and I was like, you know, you don't see this shit for other things, like when, like, let's say Disney canceled the production of Tron 3 because of low budget or low turnout for Tomorrowland. You know, people weren't like, we need Tron 3. Us moviers stand united in our need for Tron 3.
Moviers.
I define myself by my hobby, and you should too.
It doesn't matter if you watch Citizen Kane or if you're a fan of Michael Bay's Transformer movies. Us moviers all stand together.
Actually, no, that comparison doesn't work because, you know, these people like to go like, us gamers, we just stand together, and yet they also they'll generally shit on people who play Call of Duty.
They'll shit on people who play Call of Duty. They'll shit on people who play League of Legends. They'll shit on people who play on PC. They'll shit on people who play on consoles. It's like...
So when I mean by gamer, they just mean people who like the games that they like.
Yeah, it's just... I fucking hate this call for community when it's just call for community. Like, I'm gonna be right out there when people say the Magic community. Whenever I go to a tournament, there's always one person at that tournament who you're like, I don't want to play with that guy. That guy looks weird. I can smell him through my eyes from what he looks like. He said a bunch of really weird sexist jokes like 3 times in a row. I just don't want to play with him. I hope
the community is dead.
But then people are like, us all together. It's like, no, fuck you. There's no joint community. Like, there's gonna be like places where you go to and everyone's cool and everyone's fine and you make a lot of friends. But there's always going to be one person who you're like, fucking hate that guy. Like, no Magic small community is going to be perfect.
You have to like everyone who shares the same hobby as you. That's the law.
Yeah.
Remember when Obama signed that to law?
Right. Yeah. Executive Order 420. I don't know. It's just it really bothers me because it's like, do the motherfuckers who say that Magic's community needs to be stronger, do they go to tournaments? Do they play with the guy with the marinara stain going down his jacket that looks like it's been there for months? And some people might be going, oh, that's not fair, Bret. That's a disgusting stereotype. I'm not even stereotyping. That was a guy I played at a pre-release once.
And he also, like, touched all of your things.
Oh, no, that was a different guy. The guy who was cleaning out his cell phone case over my playmat and getting all his dirt on there.
What?
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Oh my god, that is common decency. Oh my god.
I was just telling Christina this story. I was in a tournament. It's a 4-player tournament, multiplayer format, Commander. And so the game had gone on at this point for like an hour and a half. So I was like, fuck it. I'm done here, guys. I'm dropping out of this match. I'm going to get up, I'm going to go take a piss, and I'm coming back. So I get up, I go to the bathroom, I come back, and this fucking weirdo who'd been, like, watching our game the entire time, which is fine. Our game was the longest game out of all of the pods that had been created.
It was a Yu-Gi-Oh episode.
Yeah, it really was.
You were afraid that you were going to sent to the Shadow
This guy
Realm.
who is like watching our game, he sits down at my seat, and I get back, and he's like, "Oh, you didn't call fives," and I was just like, "Dude, I don't care. You can sit there. I'm just gonna pull over my." But I leave my backpack, and I leave my playmat. Playmats are just little like pieces of rubber and cloth that you put your cards on. So
They're
they don't
like
get
big
damaged by
mouse pads.
Yeah, they're like big. They're basically essentially made from the same materials.
Oh, and this one's
Just
for
a little
nerds.
thinner.
Only this one's for dorks. So I'm sitting there. I have my deck of cards on me because my deck of cards is worth like $300. So I don't want some asshole just touching it. But I left like I have this special die that I use. That's it was made by a blacksmith. It's really cool. I've shown it to people.
Shit.
It's usually a big like eye catcher at tournaments. People are like, "Holy shit, what is that?" So I just
And then you're
usually
like,
end up-
stand around, let me tell you the legend of my
Let me
guy."
tell you the story of once when I went to Connecticut and met a blacksmith.
I asked him what was his race, and he said very high.
I asked him what sex he was, and then he said, "Yes, I'll have some with you." So
And that's how I got my 20 cents.
that was the joke my mom used to make with like a 10-year-old me. My mom would just be like, she'd be like, with the questionnaire, it would be like sex, and then she'd be like male, female, yes please, ha ha, get it? So I leave my dice there, I leave my playmat, I leave, what else was there? I don't remember what else I left there. My backpack was right under the chair. But I take my deck, so that's the most expensive thing I have. So he pulls out his cell phone, and he had an otter case, so dirt collects under the rubber top mat. And so he pulls out a pocket knife and starts scratching the dirt out. But this fucking gross piece of shit is scratching it over my fucking mat. And he's just letting it fall on my mat. Then, after he's done with that, he sees my dice, and he just picks it up, he goes, "Oh, cool," and he gives it a roll. And I was like, okay, cool, whatever. He just, like, everyone always asks,
And
like,
then
"Oh, can I
he
roll it?"
shoves it up his ass. Like, why'd you do
No,
that?
he just wouldn't stop. He just rolled it for like 30 minutes while the game kept going, and I was waiting, and I was just like, can you maybe not roll my die 1,000 times? And he's just sitting there like, roll, 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 roll. And I'm just sitting there
Why
like...
didn't you just take it from him?
I don't know. I didn't want to like cause anything, but I was just sitting there and I'm like, this person.
Well, didn't you say
This
that
is-
the shop owners don't even fucking like that guy? So I
No,
don't
that's
think
that's another guy. I beat a guy at the tournament, and then the shop owner pulled me aside. No, well, I technically beat him. I beat him in point buy. I didn't beat him in actually beating him in a match. But,
Okay, we get it, Brett. You're really good at magic.
So I beat him, and the shop owner pulls me aside, and he's like, "Yeah, that guy probably cheats." No, the issue
You did
was
it, Brett.
I think
You
that
beat the cheater.
I think that this guy who's like scratching his fucking like dirt off of his phone case, he left his bag of Taco Bell in the corner. That was what the shopkeeper got mad about.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Oh
I don't
my
know why he's
God.
allowed back in, but whatever.
I don't understand any of that. Like, just
This is why, like, when people are like, "We're a community," it's like, no, we're not. We're individuals, and sometimes individual people suck.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you have anything else to
listen
add to
up.
that topic,
Here's
or-
the story about a little.
Okay.
No,
So-
I was
You
thinking
wanted to say
Blue.
something
So
about a
perfect
Ghost
segue,
Man?
Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider rides on the Segway, right?
Oh man, Ghost Rider Segway edition.
There you go, Christina. There's your next fan art. So last night was the introduction of Ghost Rider in Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because that show that's kind of been lacking for like fucking 4 years now finally got a character from the Marvel Universe that actually matters.
Wait, 4 years?
Or 3 years maybe. I don't know. It came out after Avengers.
Damn.
The issue with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the issue that I've always had with it...
There are no
is that-
agents. There are no shields.
Actually, there was a S.H.I.E.L.D. last season.
Oh.
The issue is that it's like... I use this term I like to refer to as the Riku bubble, which... so there's this part
Bubble.
in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Not Sleep Death Part 3. What was that one? Dream Drop Distance.
Yes.
Because it's 3Ds.
Because
so get
it's,
it? Dream Drop Distance,
yeah,
3D.
3D. As in the 3DS. As in the platform it was on. Get it?
Kingdom Hearts 3D.
I want to see
Eli?
the business name for that name. I want to see that business name for that name. It's like, okay, we need a new name for the game we're going to go on the 3DS. And someone stands up and goes, Dream Drop Distance? And it's like, did you just make that up on the spot? Yes. And then the boss stands up, pulls up his keys, throws them at the man, and goes, go home and fuck my wife.
Go fuck my wife. You earned it. And leave your comments below about how there's something they wrote into the game to explain that, because fuck you. So there's this one.
Well, they're in dreams, Bret. So
and they drop.
And then you drop out of the dream.
And then they drop the
drop
base.
system.
How are they in their dreams? Yet they meet up with Tron at a later point in his life than Sora ever knew him. Whatever. Let's get away from that. So, you play as two characters.
Well, you
Riku,
see, Bret.
You see.
Riku and
Christina can turn to
Riku
Bill
and
Cosby
Sora.
for a second. You see, Dio.
So the Riku bubble, though, is Riku's side of the story, where there's a scene at the end of Tron, whatever, where the guy and Olivia Wilde are trying to make their escape on this platform. Clue shows up. Jeff Bridges CGI'd. Clue shows up, and he confronts them, and then they get into this verbal debate, blah blah. And so Riku is there with them, and Riku is also on the bridge, and Riku is like, oh, Olivia Wilde and that guy who didn't have any acting jobs after this movie, you guys go on the platform, and you guys get away. I'll stop Clue. And then as he's running at
Clue's like, you can't stop the dude.
And then as Riku is running towards Clue, a giant, I think they call him Noise, which are the villains of this game, comes out, and that's the boss fight.
No. Noise is Whirlwind's View.
No. Noise is a character from Dramatical Murder.
Whatever.
Is that the robot?
No, that's clear. Anyway.
Oh, sorry.
So the Riku bubble is the term I use for the fact that the characters of Clue, guy who's never acted again, and Olivia Wilde are yelling at each other the actual dialogue from the movie, and Riku is just there being like, yeah, screw you, Clue, yeah, what he said, and he's not even adding anything to the conversation. And then when he goes to do an action that could affect the plot, a villain that's been shoehorned in shows up, and they fight, and I call the Riku bubble the bubble around them where they're totally cut off from the plot.
They're called Dream Eaters.
Dream Eaters. So they're cut off from the plot. Riku is no longer a part of the plot. The plot is happening around Riku, and Riku is doing lip service to seem like he should be there. And
oh no, you didn't.
So the issue with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is that for the past 3 years, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has been caught in a Riku bubble where shit is happening around them, but they're not doing anything to affect it. Okay, so if you saw, so the only time something actually interesting happened was during the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the events of, what do we call that movie? Winter Soldier. The events of Winter Soldier occurred, and S.H.I.E.L.D., after that point in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they all started fighting. There was a lot of infighting. Hydra agents, people who were once friends, were now revealed to be Hydra. It was actually kind of cool, and it felt like it made sense because the whole S.H.I.E.L.D. being Hydra thing was a very S.H.I.E.L.D. oriented plot, and it actually picked up from the movie of what happened to S.H.I.E.L.D. after the movie. Season 2 makes no fucking sense. Agent Coulson is doing something in the shadows the entire season. You find out Coulson's big thing was he built that airship that shows up at the end of Avengers Age of Ultron. He doesn't show up on the airship he let Nick Fury take it, even though Nick Fury isn't the commander of S.H.I.E.L.D. anymore. He is. But that was
well. Then I thought the rest of S.H.I.E.L.D. thought he was dead anyway. So it's like
no. Nick Fury shows up at the end of season 1 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Spoilers. And he gives over command of S.H.I.E.L.D. to Agent Coulson.
Brett, how could you? You spoiled us.
Yeah. So
what part of that episode did he say this is Candyland?
So the whole issue is that like the big tie-in to like the way that they tried to tie Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to the Marvel Universe in the second season was Coulson was building that helicarrier, and it's like, yeah, but like he doesn't use it for the rest of the show. We don't know where it is. He's like, he just like takes it's a Riku bubble. He built it, quote unquote, but we never see it again. He wasn't on it when it showed up in the movie. Like
Nick Fury just takes it.
Yeah, Nick Fury just stole it.
What an asshole!
What a dick.
And then the Avengers just steal it, I guess.
No, they don't have
Except
it. I don't think.
Really. Whatever happened to that? Actually, that's a good question.
I don't know.
Because it just disappears.
I think they implied that Coulson has it somewhere in some facility somewhere.
Okay.
But my whole thing is, how the fuck can you hide something like that?
I don't know.
Effort.
But the way he did it was he just stole funds from S.H.I.E.L.D. for like a year and then built it without them noticing. Whatever.
Because that's possible.
And season 3 was really boring. It was just like, it happened. I played Hearthstone while watching through most of it.
But you didn't really watch it, you just had it in the background.
I had it in the background while playing Hearthstone for like 12 hours. Season 4, there was like a lot of like kind of, I wouldn't say infighting, but a lot of people on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show, like a lot of the writers and like even some of the actors were like, we want something to connect us to the universe because it feels like we're not even part of the same movie franchise. So eventually it seems like Marvel staff kind of buckled and they allowed for the use of Ghost Rider. So we had our first use of Ghost Rider in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They're using Robbie Reyes, who was a character, I believe he was introduced in 2014.
Who has a fucking awesome name.
I sent you the link to the fight scene where Robbie turned into the Ghost Rider. The effect looks okay. It's a budgeted effect. It's clearly a TV budget effect.
You can tell that it's CG, but
you can tell
it's passable.
It's passable.
It's not distractingly bad.
If they wanted authenticity, they would have melted his face off. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
It's like that
practical effects.
It's like that. It's like the CG in The Flash, where if you look closely enough, you can see where it's fake. But I still think it looks good. It looks decent enough that I'm still engaged in the plot. But my weird thing is, and this is what I'm going to pose to you and Christina, is the number one comment I see on like videos that were like showing off this clip is, where's Johnny Blaze? And I have to question this. Why do people give such a... Now, I should preface this with, I'm actually... I went through this with Christina, and I kind of realized I'm a really big Ghost Rider fan because I know more than I thought I probably did. I read through to be fair, I've only read through most of Danny Ketch's franchise, which was the 90s revival, and then the original 70s series, and then, of course, the Robbie Reyes revival in 2014. And it's like, people are like, why Robbie instead of Johnny Blaze? And there's reasons, but it's just like the question that always gets to the issue with that question is, it's like, Johnny Blaze kind of sucks as a character. Like, and I'm a big fan. I always loved the old school Ghost Riders, but like, I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen any of the I think they did 2 revivals of Johnny Blaze in the 2000s. I haven't, like, one is like called like Road of Vengeance and some shit. I haven't read those, so maybe they miraculously like retconned his character, made him way better. Of course, the 70s series probably has the weakest his character was ever at. But it's like, it wasn't like he was some super interesting character with some like really cool supporting characters, whereas Robbie has a way cooler like sphere of influence around him. Mainly, he's trying to do right by his brother who is handicapped. Robbie's story wasn't just like, oh man, I gotta like save Gwen every time she gets kidnapped, or oh man, I gotta. It was like he was doing some stuff to try and make money to, you know, get his brother out of this neighborhood where, like, you know, there's gunshots going off, and Robbie has to tell his brother that they're fireworks, and you don't want to see fireworks before the 4th of July, so you can't go outside when you hear them, and stuff like that. And I don't get why people are like, but where Johnny Blaze? And it's just like...
Just Blaze?
Because Johnny Blaze is boring.
Yeah, and it's just, he's... Again, I have to preface
Is it because
this
he's
with,
the original?
I maybe, but again, I've read the original. I read the original series. The original series, it's kind of like a lot of comics that came out in the Silver. I don't know if that's Silver Age. That might be Bronze Age. I don't know. I don't keep.
So
up with
wait,
the
you
difference
told
between
us
Silver
this
and Bronze.
entire thing background just to ask us questions about a comment section?
No, but a lot of those
This is
comics
how his
from
brain
the
works.
Yeah, my
A lot
brain
of the
works the same
comics-
way too.
a lot of comics from the 60s and 70s were kind of cheesy, especially from Marvel, even though Marvel never retconned completely. A lot of the characters back then had very simple personalities. If you go read old school Spider-Man, Peter kind of comes off as like a sociopath, where he's like, how do I find a woman that'll love me? And it's just like... Or he's like, how do I beat up the jocks, but they won't know that it was me? And it's just like... It's kind of...
Grandpa Rick, can you make a love potion for me so that the girl I like...
Yeah, no, like, really, like, Peter was, like, so worried about losing his V card in the original, like, run of Spider-Man. It's just like, okay. Again, of course, they might have... Maybe the 2000 revivals, there was 2 of Johnny Blaze that I believe they both went for, like, 30 issues or so.
And the movie with
Maybe
Nick
those
Cage.
were really fucking good and they really redefined the character. But I don't even think it's that Johnny Blaze was the original. Honestly, and this is the part that worries me the most.
Catch.
Do people think that, like, the Nick Cage movies were good? Like, this is the part that scares me the most. The question is, why are people so like, where's Johnny Blaze? I think there's 2 reasons. One, people saw the movies. They like the... I guess they're attached... I don't know. I think it's a I hate new. And they wanted to... It's kind of like why, like, when people are like, oh man, they should do Miles instead of Peter in the new Spider-Man movie, people lose their minds. Like, no, they need to do Peter for the fucking 5th time. And it's just like, okay, I guess. Me and Christina were talking about this, where I was calling it the... I have a lot of names for bullshit that doesn't matter. A lot of my own TV tropes. And I was talking about...
You should open
like
your own website, Brett.
Yeah.
the John
Brett
Stewart...
tropes.
The John Stewart effect.
Yeah.
Where, for a lot of people, John Stewart, the DC character... John Stewart is the Green Lantern to them because of the Justice League cartoon. But, like, a lot of people don't realize, like, John Stewart isn't the original Green Lantern. There was 2 well, Guy Gardner. 3. Well, then everyone else in the Green Lantern Corps. So, like, 1 million. I wonder, honestly, about that. Like, are we losing the point where, like, people... I was wondering if it was the internet that keeps people from, like... Because... we didn't really have the internet as much of a resource. It was existing, but it wasn't the way it was today when the Justice League cartoons came out in the late 90s. People were just like, oh yeah, this black guy, he's the Green Lantern. To the point where, like, when I was telling Christina, like, when the new Green Lantern movie was coming out, she's like, why is Green Lantern white now? And I was like, oh no, that's Hal Jordan. That's the original Green Lantern after Alan Scott. Is it Alan Scott?
Now I'm thinking, like, they have internet access. They should ask, like, who these people are, or why is this person here. So why are they asking in the comment section when they should be putting that to Google?
I don't know. I wonder, like, are legacy heroes no more allowed because people could just be like, I like original, even though, like there was a rumor that the new Green Lantern movie might focus on a Jon Stewart character. And to be honest, there's more room to work with a Jon Stewart character because Jon Stewart you can write the angle of like he's the Marine. He's not really a creative type, but he gets this power that is meant for someone who's incredibly creative to use. And so that's kind of one of his struggles, is he's kind of a person who's like, he kind of exemplifies the whole like military he's a Marine, so he's military upbringing, like he's ready to fight, but the power needs him to like be able to think outside the box. And, you know, you also have like Kyle Rayner, who didn't have military background, but he was a comic book artist. So when he gets this power to be a Green Lantern, he's able to make these interesting constructs and stuff like that, but he's not a hand-to-hand fighter. So that was kind of a thing they worked with him. Whereas Hal Jordan was just like, Hal Jordan, the man who can't experience fear, and he flies planes. And it's like, he was really boring. Like, yeah,
and he's played by Ryan Reynolds.
Like there was some revivals. There was like some changes to the character. Elseworlds, like I really liked in New Frontier, where like Hal was I think he was a pilot in Vietnam or something, and he got shot down. And even though the war is over, like he was radioed that the war was over and he was flying back, he gets shot down and he actually has to stab a foreign combatant to death, even though there's no more war. So this guy dies in vain, and like it really messes with Hal, and it kind of like Hal is kind of like the injured, like mentally injured veteran kind of thing. And it's just like there's cool ways, but I feel like some people just want the thing they heard was the original. Johnny Blaze was the original. Thor can only
be a man.
Yeah, even though there was a fucking horse Thor for a while.
You know what's funny is just like these ideas that these are with superheroes that we're at least familiar with in the basis. So it's be really interesting to see these superpowers applied to completely different characters and see how exactly they.
No, that's kind of like that's the best thing about legacy heroes is they take a concept of a character and apply it to a new situation. That's kind of why Miles was an injection of like fresh ideas to the Spider-Man franchise.
And that's the thing about like Spider-Man is just like he was just bitten by a radioactive spider. It could have been anyone.
Yeah.
Unless you're talking about the Amazing Spider-Man movies where he was supposedly chosen to whatever fucking.
He was chosen by his blood type and something because his dad created the Venom. Oh, fuck that movie. Fuck those movies.
All you had to do was, like, he got bit by a radioactive spider. That's it. But it's like, no, the blood type was in the DNA, and his father knew that at 12 o'clock that evening he would...
And the really weird goblin guy is like, your blood could save me, Peter. And then,
avenge me.
And then Electro is like, you didn't say hi to me. Brrr.
Yeah.
You didn't remember my name. Die for it.
That's exactly why I'm always afraid whenever I go to someone who I know from high school, but I don't remember the person's name because they're going to end up shooting me.
They're just going to shoot you full of electricity.
Yeah, it's like, hey, how's it going? Oh, hi. You don't remember me, don't you?
I had one of those moments where the person actually said, you don't remember my name, do you, Bret? And I'm like, no, I don't.
I don't like admitting that. I just nod my head going like, you.
No, like, legacy characters always kind of add a more interesting that's not just for, like, new characters. Like, a lot of people get mad at new legacy heroes because new legacy heroes typically have a new racial background because most characters were white because everything was made in the 60s. Now things are like, maybe we need to change things up a little. Maybe we need to have the new Miss Marvel be Muslim, and the Miss Marvel is really good. And then there's all these things they're trying to change. But, like, I mean, look at, like, Green Lantern itself, like we were just talking about. Alan Scott Green Lantern was a dude who found a meteorite and carved it into a lantern.
Ryan Scott Green Lantern was the one who played DuckTales a lot.
Yeah. And he just is like, oh, I found this lantern, I found this meteor, I carved it into a lantern because I was a conductor, and us conductors use lanterns. But, like, then they're like, okay, there's not much we can do with just a weirdo train conductor who finds a meteorite. Let's make this new space op, because in the 60s, I believe, when they redid this, DC wanted to do a bunch of sci-fi series. So, like, what if we have a guy from Earth, he gets this ring, the ring gives him the powers of the Green Lantern, and he's basically a space cop, and he has to go from planet to planet solving problems. Like, that is a way more interesting concept, and Green Lantern is a legacy character, even though we don't really remember the Golden Age Green Lantern as much. Same with the Flash. The Flash remake doesn't really like change as much. And then, you know, there's been so many characters redone over
right.
countless times.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Good. All right. Right.
Awesome.
Great. So yeah, Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider.
Christina, where can we find you?
So we're just gonna end it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just put the podcast out of its misery.
You can find Christina in cocoarts.tumblr.com.
Yeah.
Are you still accepting commissions?
I guess.
I don't do anything, so don't follow me on Twitter.
Okay, you can follow me
Talk
on Twitter
to her about
and Tumblr.
comics.
Yeah. Because you know a lot of shit. How come? Okay, I'm sorry. How come you're not doing things on your channel? You know so much stuff, and it's like
because Christina always like. Because I'm like, oh, maybe I should do something on comic book heroes, and Christina's like, yeah, and then she's like, also do something on Magic the Gathering, and I'm like, I don't really know Magic the Gathering.
Bret, you haven't suggested anything about comics lately, so.
I just fucking ranted for like 30 minutes about legacy heroes.
But you never suggested, oh, maybe we should do a thing on, like, all the lore of all of the fucking Ghost Riders.
Ooh, that would be fun.
Yeah. Yeah,
All
write
right.
it.
All right.
Write it.
All right.
Do it. You can follow Bret on the 1T Bret on YouTube, so that you can find some cool videos.
No, I think my name on YouTube is We Could Be Wrong.
Oh, we could be wrong on YouTube. I don't know.
You post the podcast, so I just have some random account named We Could Be Wrong.
Yeah, he's a fan website. Go to our fan YouTube page. We can be wrong.
Go to our fanzine.
Yeah, our fan.
At thedumpster.com.
If you're interested in me for some reason, go to my Tumblr, my Twitter, my YouTube, whatever. Good night.